I finally watched the much awaited film Brahmastra. Although it had potential, I saw a lot of things in it that made Brahmastra a bad story. Now, I can make a video to rant about it or write my own version of Brahmastra. I think I'm going to do the latter for this one. So, what you will listen to in this video is my version of Brahmastra. Hope you like it. Please watch it till the end. There are spoilers for the film, so watch this video only if you have watched Brahmastra. Let's begin. A man speaks in a very ominous voice. The story of humans on this planet is very long, a lot longer than we know. It all began with one being many thousands of years ago. The first Deva who marks the beginning of humans as an intelligent species. Brahma. Some artistic visuals appear as a montage of historical events to support what this person is saying. Brahma dedicated his life to knowledge. He knew so much that people considered him to have knowledge of the universe. That's why the universe was named after him, Brahmāstra. This knowledge is what turned us from ape-like animals to humans as we know today. Brahma's knowledge was vital for human survival. His greatest weapon, Brahmastra, has the potential to fix all man-made problems. Not using it is a big mistake. The montage ends and we see a guy in his early 20s, Shiva, parkouring on the rooftops of Mumbai city. All the people are celebrating Dussehra while he goes from roof to roof to reach his house in a chawl. His father, a pujari, is preparing some stuff for a puja. This pujari runs an orphanage in this chawl with his son Shiva. Now that he is grown up, he helps his father in conducting pujas. When they are in a cab, we see Shiva scared and chanting, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, out of fear. His father tries to calm him down. He knows Shiva's problem, but there's nothing he can do. If he wants to be a pujari like his father, he has to learn to be around fire. How can I? Don't let the fire weaken you. The reason you're afraid is that you feel that your body is the most valuable thing to you. Get rid of that thought. Dedicate your life to something else, someone else. Once you do that, you will get the courage to face your fears. They arrive at the rich man's house. They set up the puja stuff and begin. Everything goes smoothly until the fire is lit. The puja is kept to celebrate the return of the rich man's grandchild from abroad. This is a girl of about Shiva's age, Isha. She is a clumsy girl. Having lived abroad, she has a fascination for Indian traditional practices, but knows very little. Hence, she makes a lot of mistakes. During the Havan, Shiva watches from a distance as the puja continues. Suddenly, he notices that a piece of burning coal has fallen on Isha's dress and has caught fire. Initially, when the fire is less, Shiva gets scared and wants to inform others, but freezes. Strangely, nobody notices the fire other than him. By the time he gets the courage to speak, the fire grows. Realizing there is fire, everyone takes a step back with shock. But Shiva jumps towards her, extinguishing the fire with his hands. He succeeds in doing that. Strangely, his hands are not even slightly burnt. Only after this save, Shiva and Isha properly see each other and lock eyes. Not because it was a heroic save, but because this has happened before. Over a decade ago, there was a similar puja. Isha clumsily got her dress on fire, but then Shiva bravely emptied a bucket of water on her. Everyone got angry seeing Shiva misbehave because nobody knew her dress was on fire then. Shiva was told to leave the bungalow and never be seen there again. Back to the present, Isha thanks Shiva for saving her again. She apologizes for the way her family treated him many years ago. They realized their mistake when they saw the burnt part of her dress. She is saying all this, but Shiva is not paying attention. He still does not understand how he extinguished the fire with his own hands and did not get burned. So he leaves. Isha is an archaeology student and has a great fascination for Indian quote unquote mythology. So one day she arrives at Pujari's house. During the puja of a few days back, the Pujari had said that these devas we pray to are our ancestors, and the mantras are just our way to remember them, their story, and their teachings. Although she is at their house, the Pujari is busy elsewhere. So instead, she talks to Shiva. She asks how he got his name while wandering around his house. He tells how he has pyrophobia, an extreme fear of fire. His father, the Pujari, named him after Mahadev to give him strength, Devo Ka Dev, who was strong enough to wield the Brahmastra without killing himself. Hearing that word gets Isha excited. She asks if he knows the rumors and legends. She tells him the story of Brahmansh, a secret society who were the preservers of Brahma's wisdom. There was a time in history when humanity had lost all morals. There was chaos and fighting everywhere. That's when, using Brahma's knowledge, they created divine weapons called astras. These astras are weapons derived from nature, like some are from animals like Vanarastra or Nandiastra. There are also some based on natural elements like Jalastra, Vayuastra, and Agniastra. They used these astras to bring peace to the land. The best of all is the Brahmastra. Hearing the story makes Shiva uneasy. She says, "Rumor is that these astras exist even today and are wielded by people around us." She shows him random articles about unusual events. Seeing old news of the sky turning fiery red triggers some flashes. In these flashes, he sees the sky turning red, but up close. It's Diwali time, so there are a lot of oil lamps around. Unknowingly, Shiva starts attracting the flame toward him. Shiva falls to the floor and gets more flashes. These flashes are of the present day, Delhi, of an astrophysicist Mohan having a phone conversation. In front of him is a drawing of a complete Brahmastra with a marked star constellation. He's telling his friend, "We were wrong. The star map does not tell us where these astras came from. It tells us." Suddenly, his call is interrupted as three people with glowing red eyes attack him. They want the piece of Brahmastra he has. There is a fight where Mohan tries to convince these three how dangerous Brahmastra is and they should not seek it, but they seem to be under influence of something or someone. Mohan uses his Kurma Astra, that is, power of a turtle, to protect himself from strong blows. They tie him to his chair and interrogate him. Their leader, Junoon, is a bad name choice, but we will go with it, uses her dark red crystal power to extract information from him. She learns where the next piece of Brahmastra is by reading his mind and seeing who has it. With some more interrogation, they also succeed in learning where Mohan has kept his piece of Brahmastra. Now that they have it, Junoon asks Mohan for his last wish before they kill him. He says to give him his astra back. The three of them laugh and do as he asks. She mocks him for picking the astra, which is the weakest of them all, the power of a turtle. To that, Mohan smiles and says, "Maybe it is the weakest, but it is exactly what I need right now." He then pushes himself off the balcony of that tall building and plummets to the ground. Just before he is to land, he activates the Kurma Astra, which protects him during the landing. He is unharmed as he says to himself, "Anish, they are coming for you." Shiva sees all this. When Junoon was reading Mohan's mind, Shiva saw an unknown but familiar face. He later also learns the name Anish. This information is enough for Shiva to track down the next piece of Brahmastra. When Shiva wakes up, Isha is still there. She is shocked, excited, and has a lot of questions. Abroad, she spent many years chasing rumors and fake stories of ancient astras, aliens, and gods. Strangely, fate brought her to a guy who is a living Agni Astra while she least expected. Shiva knows nothing about this Agni Astra. He simply tells her about all he saw. He says that he is not a Pujari's son. He is an orphan who was found here. Hence, he does not know his parents. In these flashes he saw, the two guys seemed familiar. So he has to go to Varanasi to know his past. Isha says she will come. She has been waiting for this moment her entire life. And now that it is happening, she won't let it go even if it is dangerous. Shiva agrees. That's because he finally understands what his Pujari father says. In the last few encounters and the conversations they had, Shiva has fallen in love with Isha. She gives him strange courage to fight his fears. Shiva loves Isha, but he does not know if she feels the same. Despite not knowing him well, she agrees to go to Varanasi with him. He understands that her decision is not out of love or attraction. It's her curiosity to learn the truth of astras that drives her to go wherever Shiva goes. So Shiva says nothing. They go to Varanasi and track down the artist Anish Shetty. Before Shiva initiates the conversation, Anish calls Shiva by his name. He knows Shiva, but before he can tell how, Junoon and her goons attack. Junoon attacks Anish. That's when Anish activates his Nandi Astra and is able to fight them. It's an unfair fight, 3 against 1. That's when Shiva intervenes. He has no control over his powers, so he just fights with his fist that at times burst into flames. Strangely, the moment he interferes, Junoon does not attack Shiva. Taking this opportunity, they escape. There's a chase. Isha, who has mad, in a good way, driving skills, takes the wheel and drives. Meanwhile, Shiva is desperate to know how Anish knows him. Anish tells him that Shiva should not have gotten involved in this Astra mess. His mother told them to keep Shiva away from this at all cost. By them, he means Anish and Mohan, the astrophysicist, were tasked with keeping Shiva safe. They left the little baby Shiva in the hands of the Pujari. While the chase continues, Junoon and his goons come closer. They start attacking the car. Anish realizes that all 3 of them cannot escape. So he decides to stay back and fight the 3 while Shiva and Isha take the Brahmastra piece to Guruji. Anish gives them the location and they drive away. Shiva does not like the idea of Anish staying back because fighting 3 alone means he will certainly die. But Anish says it's his duty to protect Shiva. Meanwhile, it's Shiva's duty to keep Brahmastra safe. Shiva has more questions about his parents, but Anish says Guruji will answer all of them. This is enough motivation for Shiva to go track down Guruji. Shiva and Isha drive away as we see Anish using his Nandi Astra to crush the truck with Junoon in it. That's the last we see of him. In the Himalayan mountains, there is a secluded bungalow, the ashram, where Guruji lives with other members of Brahmansh. At Guruji's place, Shiva gives him the piece of Brahmastra. Seeing him, Guruji immediately recognizes that Shiva is the Agni Astra. Even though this old man displays a smile on his face, there is an underlying fear. That's because he anticipates what is going to happen next. When Shiva demands to know about his parents, Guruji does not tell him. That's when Shiva gets angry and unknowingly makes the tiny flames in a house temple transform into a huge fire. Guruji says, "Truth is a burden. Before you know it, you need to be worthy of carrying it, or else the truth will crush you. To be worthy, you will have to learn to control your anger, that is, the Agnyastra inside you. In the following days, Guruji not only trains Shiva but also tells him about the Brahmansh community, how they kept the world safe over the many millennia using the astras and the other wisdom of Brahma. He also tells Shiva that all the gods we worship in India like Rama, Krishna, Mahadev, Ganesha, Hanuman, etc. all belong to Brahmansh community. That's why they are called Deva. Shiva argues with Guruji about their duty because if they really cared about keeping humanity safe, they would have prevented the two world wars, atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and especially the invasions, massacres and genocides that happened in India. Guruji defends, saying they interfered only from the shadows because Brahma's knowledge is so powerful that if it falls into human hands in the present day, they will destroy the planet faster than they are destroying now. Hence, modern day Brahmansh left mankind to its fate. Throughout this film, there is a side story that Isha firmly believes these astras and the Brahma knowledge was given to humans by aliens. Guruji says she watches too many ancient alien episodes of a TV show. Isha strongly believes in her claim. This is further confirmed when she sees constellation markings on every astra, including Brahmastra. Guruji gets annoyed. He says, just because they came before us does not mean ancient humans were less advanced. Brahmastra is a device that wields the power of the sun. It's based on the concept of nuclear fission. They knew just as we know now. We created Brahmastra, not some aliens. It is the greatest weapon that cannot be destroyed without destroying the world with it. Wrong, says Mohan, the astrophysicist. He arrives with injured Anish. How Anish survived the wrath of Junoon is what we see in a flashback where Mohan helps Anish fight the red-eyed goons. The reason Mohan took so much time to come is that he had gone to Mumbai to get something from the Pujari, Shiva's adoptive father, the third piece of Brahmastra that was kept with Shiva. The constellations tell us how to destroy the Brahmastra without destroying the world. Mohan tells Isha that when Brahma was creating the written language, he wanted to use letters that would stay unchanged and visible to all. That's why he used the constellations. On the star map, he marks the constellation of Brahmastra. He then marks the constellations adjacent to it that have meaning. The two important constellations are that mean Agnyastra and Shiva. That is the key to safely destroying Brahmastra, a Shiva who is born as Agnyastra. That's why we were against killing him as a baby, says Mohan. Guruji argues that a person becomes Shiva through his actions, not by birth. Mohan argues that we must at least try to destroy Brahmastra with Shiva's help. Meanwhile, Shiva fixates on the point that Guruji and the members of Brahmansh decided to kill baby Shiva. Guruji admits it. Shiva is heartbroken, especially because he was able to bond with Guruji in the past few days that they have been training together. When demanding an explanation, Guruji resists but then loses his patience and says, "Because your uncontrollable power is what killed your parents. We realized the dangerous levels of your power when you were able to break Brahmastra into 3 pieces. We didn't think that was ever possible before." Shiva is shattered. As Guruji rightly said earlier, the burden of truth is crushing him. He walks away and Isha follows. Away from the ashram, he is trying to cope with what he just heard. There, Isha tries to calm him. When Shiva curses his existence and power, Isha speaks of destiny. What we experience in life is already written. There's no point in feeling regret or guilt. No matter how much we try, we cannot change what's meant to happen. Just as the tragedy of his parents was written, Shiva and Isha's meeting was also written. Isha confesses that she wants to stop fighting her destiny by speaking the truth. All this time, she felt her curiosity for astras drove her to follow Shiva wherever he went. That's a lie. The truth is that she loves him. This is able to get Shiva's attention. Even though he wants to, he does not say anything in return. They simply look at each other. But before they could act on their urges, a huge explosion is seen at the ashram. Isha runs towards it, but stubborn Shiva does not move. He says he can't trust those who tried to kill him as a child. Probably they are lying about him killing his parents as well. Isha goes alone while Shiva keeps staring at a flame in his hand. He shuts his eyes and tries to remember the truth. He gets the flashes he has been getting his entire life, of red sky and faraway two forces fighting, the dance of water and fire. In the middle is a floating Brahmastra ready to destroy all life on the planet. The last he remembers is crying at the top of his voice, and that cry is what breaks Brahmastra. The fire engulfs both his parents who were fighting each other. While dying, he remembers his mother's utterance of the word Shiva. He hears it again, but this time the scream comes from Isha. Shiva opens his eyes and runs towards the ashram. There's a huge fight between Junoon, who has an army now, and the present-day devas of Brahmansh. In this chaotic fight, Shiva uses his powers to protect all his people, but most importantly, Isha. Despite that effort, Junoon is able to gather the three pieces and Brahmastra is activated. Junoon defeats Shiva because she fights fire with fire. Everyone is confused as to how this is possible. Junoon is not even a part of the Brahmansh community. She declares herself as the better wielder of Agnyastra and goes to touch the Brahmastra to take control of it. Unfortunately for her, when she touches it, her body burns, turning her into ashes. The sky has turned red as the Brahmastra is burning bright as the sun. The burning light grows and destroys whatever is in its path. Shiva has to summon immense strength to reach the Brahmastra and stop it. He eventually does when he sees that if he fails, it will kill Isha. Shiva holds the complete Brahmastra as if it is nothing. The battle is won, and fortunately, nobody from Devas die. At least not the important ones like Guruji, Mohan and Anish. As Shiva gives the Brahmastra to be kept back in the protected box, he asks, what was the point of activating Brahmastra? Just to kill everyone? To that, Guruji says that Brahmastra is not a weapon of complete destruction. It's a tool of rebirth, reset, a fresh start. While they are talking, Mohan and Anish arrive saying they should use Shiva and his Agnyastra power to destroy the Brahmastra. But Guruji says not yet. They might need it for what is to come. Guruji says to Shiva that it is time that he is worthy to know the complete truth. He says, your father was a gifted member of the Brahmansh community. While all of us mastered only one astra, your father was capable of wielding multiple weapons. He called himself Dev, just Dev, because he considered himself as an avatar of the first Dev, Brahma. So he thought that it is his destiny to end all the violence in the world and use Brahmastra to begin new world order. All the other members of Brahmansh, including your mother, were against him. So he betrayed our trust and activated Brahmastra by himself. He was so powerful that the only person to face him was your mother, the master of Jal Astra. So she told us to leave. Only Anish and Mohan stayed back. We don't know how the battle exactly ended. We assumed your cry killed both of them, but seeing the woman using dark flames means that your father is still alive. He has reborn and will be coming to get the Brahmastra. Brahmastra is what he wants, but we cannot destroy it because using Brahmastra is the only way to defeat your powerful father Dev. Elsewhere, we see Dev returning to his human form when he speaks what we heard as a monologue in the beginning. Brahma dedicated his life to knowledge. He knew so much that people considered him to have the knowledge of the universe. That's why the universe was named after him, Brahman. This knowledge is what turned us from ape-like animals to humans as we know today. Brahma's knowledge was vital for human survival. His greatest weapon, Brahmastra, has the potential to fix all man-made problems. Not using it is a big mistake, so I am here to fix it. To be continued. P.S. Isha will be revealed as the new Jal Astra in Brahmastra Part 2. This is just a rough draft of what I felt would fix the problems of Brahmastra. My story must have flaws as well, but I don't think I should spend time refining it unless Dharma Productions want me to. Thank you.